Welcome back to Mr. DuPage's classroom. This lesson is for my Algebra 1 class. It is 6.2, Slope-Intercept Form, Day 1. The first thing we're going to talk about is a linear function. A linear function is a function that graphs a line. Imagine that. Linear line. Okay? The slope-intercept form. This is something you need to memorize. You need to memorize slope-intercept form. You need to understand what everything means in slope-intercept form. It's going to keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back. The slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. In our last lesson, we talked about what m stood for, and we knew that it stood for slope. Slope is your change in y over your change in x, or rise over run, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All those things mean exactly the same thing. A couple of new things that we have, though, is our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is our b value. Notice there's a b value in the equation. Okay? That is your y-intercept. It is where the graph crosses the y-axis. Imagine that. Intercept, cross, okay? So it's where the graph crosses the y-axis. Your x-intercept then is where the graph crosses the x-axis. Okay? So let's work on identifying these a little bit. Okay? What are the slope and y-intercept? Let's keep your slope-intercept form up there. So the slope is always attached to the x. In this case, my slope is attached to the x, so my m would equal 3. My b is always the number that's at the back end by itself. In this case, it would be negative 5, so my b equals negative 5. Okay? In part b, my slope is what's attached to the x, so it's 1/2. My b is what's by itself, so the 9. And in c, my slope would be what's attached to the x, so negative 2. And my b value is 0 because there is not one, so I do not have to worry about the y-intercept being an actual number. I know that it will cross the y-axis at 0. Now that we have identified our slope and our y-intercept, we need to be able to graph it. So the first thing we're going to look at is, let's identify our slope and y-intercept. Our slope is 3. I can also write 3 as 3 over 1. That will help us with our rise over our run. Now, that would make us go up and to the right because they're both positive. I also am going to have to be able to work down and to the left. So I can also write that as negative 3 over negative 1. Okay? My y-intercept is this negative 5. Okay? So my graph is going to cross the y-axis at negative 5. Well, negative 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is 0, negative 5, or my y-intercept. Now my slope says that I'm going to go up 3 and right 1. So 1, 2, 3, right 1. There's my first point of my graph. My other slope, my negative 3 over negative 1, tells me I'll go down 3 and left 1. So down 1, 2, 3, left 1. Make a point. I'm going to make a line that goes all the way through the entire graph. And I am done. I have graphed y equals 3x minus 5. Let's look at our next problem. It says y equals 3 over 2x. So my slope would be 3 over 2. That tells me I'll go up 3 and right 2. I also want to be able to go down and left, so negative 3 over negative 2. Okay? My y-intercept is negative 2, comes from here. All right? So I need to make that point first. I go down 2. There's my y-intercept. That's where it's going to cross my y-axis. Now, my first slope tells me I'm going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. Right 2. 1, 2. My second slope tells me down 3. 1, 2, 3. Left 2. 1, 2. And I will graph those points. Notice that our graph goes up as I go from left to right. Our last lesson we talked about this, that a positive slope, which my initial slope is positive, my initial slope is positive, will always go from left to right. It'll always go in an upward fashion. Okay? Now I keep saying that I have my first slope and my second slope. If you type, especially in this one might be easier, if I type 3 over 1 into my calculator, I'm going to get positive 3. If I type negative 3 over negative 1 in my calculator, then I'm also going to get positive 3. So really they are the same slopes. It's just one will get me to move up and to the right in a positive slope. One would get me to move down and to the left in a positive slope. That way I have 1 point on the left-hand side of my y-intercept and 1 point on the right-hand side of my y-intercept, so I have a more complete graph. Okay? Now let's take a look at the next problem. It says y equals 6. Do I have anything that is attached to the x? I don't, so that my slope in this case will be 0. All right? My y-intercept is always the thing that's by itself, so in this case it will be 6. I always go to my y-intercept first, so I go to 0, 6. That is my y-intercept. Now I don't have a slope. My slope is 0. If you remember from our last lesson, every time that my slope is 0, it means I have a horizontal graph. So I'm going to have a straight horizontal line all the way across at 6. Okay? Now, so every time you have y equals, it's going to be a 0 slope. I'm sorry. Every time I have y equals a constant, y equals just a number, I will have a 0 slope and a horizontal line. Okay? Now, what happens if I have x equals negative 2? Well, my x-axis is this one. So I would go to negative 2 on the x-axis. That's here. And I'm going to have a vertical line. Okay? So anytime I have x equals, my slope is undefined. Let me write m equals here. Anytime I have an x equals, my m is undefined, and my graph is vertical. All right? Let's go ahead and move on to the back. You notice that you don't have any numbers here. So what I'm going to do is my first problem is going to be y equals negative 2x plus 1. I want to identify my slope and my y-intercept first. So my slope in this case would be negative 2. I can rewrite that as negative 2 over positive 1. Now, we've only looked at rewriting the slope again with positive numbers. If I have a negative slope, what I can do is make the numerator positive and the denominator negative, and it does the exact same thing. So negative 2 over 1, and 2 over negative 1 are all exactly the same thing. What is my y-intercept, or my b? It's going to be positive 1. So I'm going to go up to positive 1, make my point. I'm going to follow my first slope. It says negative 2. So my rise is negative. If my rise is negative, I'm going to go down. 1, 2. My run is positive. A positive run goes to the right, so I go right 1 and make my point. Go back to my y-intercept, okay? And I'm going to use this slope. It says a positive rise, so up 2, and a negative run, so negative 1. Connect my points, and I am done. If you do not understand how I'm doing getting positive and negative or the two different slopes, please come in and ask me in the morning. The next problem is going to be y equals negative 4 over 5x minus 3. My slope then would be negative 4 over 5. I want to write another slope, okay? So it's going to be positive 4 over negative 5. My y-intercept would be negative 3. I need to go to my y-intercept first, so negative 3, down 3. There's my y-intercept. My first slope tells me I'll go down for my run. 1, 2, 3, or rise, 3, 4. I'll go positive for my run, so right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make my point. My next slope tells me I'll start at my y-intercept, go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll go left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to connect those points. And notice, when I have a negative slope, it's going to go down from left to right, just like these two graphs have done. Okay? Let's look at our next example. It says x equals 8. Well, from the front side, every time I have an x equals 8, my slope is undefined. I'm going to go to 8 on the x-axis. Okay? And every time it's an x equals, I have a vertical line. You need to memorize that. Every time it's x equals, I'm going to have a vertical line. Okay? On to our last example for graphing. I have y equals negative 3. I can go to negative 3 on my y-axis because my slope would be 0 and my y-intercept would be negative 3. Since my slope is 0, okay, I have y just equals a number. Since my slope is 0, it's going to be a straight horizontal line. Okay? You need to memorize that as well. X equals means I'm going to have a vertical line. Y equals just a number. I'm going to have a horizontal line. On to the bottom. Example 3. Find the slope and the y-intercept of each equation. Hint, solve for y first. So we need to get y alone. So problem number 1. How would I get y alone? I would just add 3 to both sides, right? So y would equal 1/2 x plus 3. Now it tells us to find the slope and the y-intercept. Well, my slope is what's attached to my x, so it's 1/2. My y-intercept is what's alone, so 3. Okay? Problem number 2 is a little trickier. I want to get y by itself, so I need to move the 3x first. So I'm going to subtract the 3x. That would leave me with negative 2y is equal to negative 3x plus 10 because our slope-intercept form always has the x first. Okay? Now to finish this off, I need to get y by itself, so I'll divide by negative 2 across the board. So y equals negative 3 over negative 2. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, so it will just be 3 over 2x. 10 divided by negative 2 would be negative 5. So my slope would equal positive 3 over 2. My y-intercept would equal negative 5. All right? That is the end of our lesson. The most important things here, you must memorize the slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Also, remember that your y-intercept is your b value. Your slope is your m value. The y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. The x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis. Also, when you are working with your slope, you want to have a slope that will take you up and to the right, will take you to the right of your y-intercept, and a slope that will take you to the left of your y-intercept. Just be careful when you're switching those signs. If you have any questions over these things, please come in before school or ask me before class. Otherwise, thank you for watching this video and have a great day.